It was another quiet night in the depths of the digital underworld. This was my realm, a place where I knew the rules. I spent countless nights here, navigating the uncharted territories of the web where most people feared to tread. But tonight something felt different. The stillness wasn't comforting, it was suffocating. It was as if the walls of my basement were closing in, trapping me in the endless sea of code and shadows. And yet, despite the foreboding feeling in the air, I continued as usual. After all, I had heard the stories before, whispers of the forbidden corners of the dark web, places where madness thrived. But those were just myths, right? Tales spun by overzealous conspiracy theorists. They couldn't be real, could they? I used to laugh at the stories. They were nothing more than campfire tales for the digital age, right? People talked about haunted websites, cursed forums, and links that led you to places you were never meant to see. But I never believed them. Not really. It's just the internet after all. A collection of wires, servers, and data. What could possibly be lurking out there that could actually harm me? But then I saw it. No title, no description. Just a single line of text glowing like a beacon in the darkness. Enter if you dare. It felt like a challenge, a dare, one I wasn't sure I was prepared for. And yet, I couldn't look away. Something in me, a curiosity I couldn't explain, begged me to click, to cross that invisible line. My heart was pounding in my chest, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly afraid. Not the kind of fear you get when you're walking home late at night or watching a horror movie. No, this was something deeper, primal. A kind of fear that sits at the base of your spine and whispers to you that you're about to do something incredibly dangerous. Every instinct I had told me to walk away, to shut down my computer and go to bed. But curiosity, it's a funny thing. It's like a virus. Once it gets inside you, it spreads. It controls you. And before I knew it, my finger had clicked the mouse and the screen began to shift. I didn't even have time to process what was happening. The screen flashed and suddenly, I was staring at something I had never seen before. The words, "Welcome to the unknown," glared back at me, bold and unyielding, like a warning etched into the fabric of reality itself. I wanted to believe it was a prank, some elaborate hoax set up by a bored hacker to mess with people like me. But the more I stared at the screen, the more I felt a deep, unsettling truth begin to creep into my mind. This wasn't just a game. This was something far worse. Then, my name appeared on the screen. "Welcome, Luke." How did they know my name? I hadn't entered anything, hadn't shared anything personal. Yet here it was, my name, plastered across the screen like some grotesque introduction to a nightmare I didn't know I was part of. My hands started to sweat. I reached for the keyboard, trying to type something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. And then, a new message appeared. "We've been expecting you." My mind was racing, my heart pounding in my chest. How did they know my name? Was this some kind of elaborate trick, a prank that had gone too far? I tried to close the window, to shut the computer down, but nothing worked. The keys were unresponsive. The mouse wouldn't move. I was trapped, staring at the screen as it mocked me with its silence. And then, the screen shifted again. A new window opened, and what I saw, it still haunts me. The man's face was pale, his eyes wide with fear, and I could see the desperation in his every movement. He was trying to scream, trying to plead for help, but the gag muffled his words. And then, as if the situation couldn't get any worse, a countdown appeared on the screen. 10 minutes. I had 10 minutes to save him. But save him from what? And more importantly, how? I typed furiously, my fingers trembling as I demanded answers. That word, sacrifice, it echoed in my mind like a bell tolling at a funeral. Sacrifice? What kind of sacrifice? The word felt heavy, laden with a meaning I couldn't yet comprehend. I kept typing, asking for more information, but the only response I got was that same haunting word, sacrifice. And as the countdown continued to tick away, I began to feel a sinking dread in the pit of my stomach. This wasn't a game. This was real, and I had no idea how to stop it. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Every second felt like an eternity. The man's terrified eyes locked with the camera, as if begging me to save him. But how could I? How could I, a stranger sitting behind a screen, possibly do anything to help him? I typed furiously, asking for instructions, hoping for some kind of clue. But the only response I got was silence, and that relentless countdown. The seconds seemed to mock me, each one slipping away, taking with it any chance of saving him. The weight of my helplessness crushed me. The more I stared at that countdown, the more I felt the grip of panic tighten around my chest. My breathing became shallow, my heart racing faster than the clock. What did they want from me? How was I supposed to make a sacrifice? My mind raced, trying to make sense of it all. Was this some sick game? Were they toying with me, watching my every move, waiting for me to fail? Every thought I had seemed to spiral deeper into the void of uncertainty, and the man on the screen, the man whose life was slipping through my fingers, was running out of time. I had never felt so powerless in my life. My entire world was crashing down around me, and I had no control. I reached for my phone, desperate to call for help, but there was nothing. No service, no way out. My mind was racing. I thought about unplugging the computer, smashing it even, but something in me knew it wouldn't work. This wasn't just happening on the screen. It was happening to me, to my reality, and it wasn't going to let me go. Time was slipping away, and I still didn't have any answers. I felt trapped between two worlds, this digital nightmare on the screen and the terrifying reality that was unfolding around me. I was frozen in place, my mind paralyzed by the gravity of it all. Was this man real? Was I watching someone's life slowly fade before my eyes? And if so, how could I stop it? I couldn't just stand there and watch him die. I had to do something. But what? My hands trembled as they hovered over the keyboard, unsure of what to type. Every keystroke felt like a shot in the dark, a desperate attempt to make sense of the madness. "What do you want from me?" I typed, hoping, praying for an answer. But what came next was nothing I could have prepared for. That word again. Sacrifice. It echoed in my mind, growing louder with every second. What kind of sacrifice? Was I supposed to give up something? Was I supposed to do something terrible? The vagueness of it all was eating me alive. My hands were sweating, my throat dry. The clock ticked on mercilessly. I needed answers, but all I got was silence. And then, the screen changed. My heart stopped. It was my basement, my room, my world. But I wasn't looking through my eyes. I was looking at myself. The screen was showing me. It was showing my room. The same desk, the same papers, the same light. But how? How was this possible? And then it hit me. They were watching me. Whoever they were inside my space, my sanctuary. I wasn't just a spectator in this nightmare. I was the target. I was no longer in control. I wasn't even safe in my own space. My basement had always been my escape, my fortress. But now, it felt like a prison. And somewhere just beyond the reach of my senses, someone, or something, was watching me. I could feel their eyes on me. I could feel their presence creeping through the cracks of reality, closing in around me, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Then I saw them, the figure, the one who had been watching me. They stood outside my house, shrouded in darkness, as if they had always been there, waiting for the right moment to strike. My blood turned to ice. This wasn't just some abstract threat. It was real. They were real. And they were right outside my door. Let them in. That's what they wanted. They wanted me to open the door to invite the terror into my world. My mind raced. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But the figure stood there unmoving, relentless, and the countdown continued to tick away. Every second felt like a lifetime. I could feel the weight of their presence pressing down on me. The knock on the door echoed through the silence of the basement.